Hello, Dave. Today is Sunday, June 26th. I am the Bro 9000, and I trust you are all functioning well today. Hello, everybody. I am Mr. Brown. Welcome to the stream. Today, we will be discussing the news in pop culture land, some reviews, and all the bollocks coming out of Hollywood. So let's start as we mean to go on and get the guests out there waiting in the green room. Let's get the bodies out. Here we go. First up, we see the conflict within our next guest. There is good inside him, especially when he's got 30,000 views on his latest video. It is the Dark Sith Lord Chord.
Hello there.
Hello there, Chord.
How are you today?
I'm tickety-boo. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Nice thing to wake up to. Video is ticking along nicely. It's sort of tying with the last 3 videos in terms of how many views it's getting. So that probably means it'll do over. I think probably over 50,000 will be good. It's annoying because I'm now it's sort of all it scales. I remember like 3 months ago, if we got to 1,000 views in a day, we'd be like, yes, that's incredible. And now if we get to 30, I think, but it could be more. So impatience is getting to me, but it's all relative. Always remember where you
Young man, don't let it go to your head.
came from. No risk of that, no.
Yet.
Yeah. Give me another 100,000 subscribers, and maybe I'll become an insufferable elitist. But until then,
I think you're what, 6 months?
that's optimistic. But then again, we didn't think we'd be at 10,000 in 6 months. So who knows? I'm not placing any bets on it anymore.
How many have you got now then?
It's where are we now? Coming up for 9,300, I think.
Wow.
And 7.1 of them have come in the last month. So who knows where we'll be in 6 months' time?
100,000 snowball effects, my friend. Congratulations. Well done. You deserve it. Hard work pays off. Well done, my friend. Shall we get the one and only guest remaining?
That sounds like a plan.
Yes. Okay. Nobody's available tonight. They're all doing stuff. Okay. He's back for another helping of punishments. Chewing on his pizza. It is the great Matt Cat 83.
What's up, nerds?
Hey, pal. How are you?
I'm good. Had a good day with the family, and yeah, for a Sunday, all that good stuff.
Family well, yes?
Oh yeah. My kids are how you would say it, full of beans. They are insane.
That's what kids do.
That is their job. They drive me mental, and especially on Sundays because we do fun things. And I don't know, they're toddlers, so they don't listen. And I'm all like, geez.
Tasty pizza.
Yeah, it was delicious. My wife made it.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah, were you doing that cauliflower crust? So I don't know. It tastes fine, but yeah.
So you're looking forward to this? You've been watching your TV this week?
Yeah.
You're about the only one who does. That's one of the main reasons why you're the go-to guy to get on a Sunday night.
Yay!
So, okay, so... Oh, I'm being a boomer. Sorry, guys. Here we go. End of week musings, Sunday, June 26, 2022. Hello, chats. I can see you. Should we just get on with it?
Yeah, do it.
Free eye test courtesy of the Mr. Brown Alliance channel. Should have gone to Specsavers. Okay, so I'm kind of guessing, Matt, you've seen this one.
Yeah.
what did you think to this week's episode? Is it episode 4?
It was episode 4. I have to tell you right now, this is one of my favorite episodes of the Orville ever. It was so good. It was like ridiculous.
It was very political, wasn't it?
It was, but I think that they did it in my opinion, I think they did it in a smart way.
They were kind of connecting with a previous story.
Oh yeah. Because oh gosh, I have to say her name right because I kept calling her Talia, but her name is Talea.
Talea, yes.
Yeah, she's appeared in 2 other episodes before, and one was like as a human spy. But
it's Kazon, isn't it?
Krill. Yeah.
Aren't the Krill in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Those are the Kree.
Oh, the Kree.
And the Kazon are from Voyager.
It all sounds fishy to me, so I just...
Oh yeah, Kazon, yes.
Well, every time they say Krill, I just can't think of Finding Nemo when she's like, "Oh look, Krill," and they're like, "Run away!"
The episode was, for me, it was doing a bit of a political point with. I don't know if it was directly connected with the American kind of Orange Man bad stuff.
I mean, probably. But I mean, like. Like the thing is, Star Trek has always been like somewhat political and everything. They just do it very subtly. With this one, I don't know. I've talked to other people about it, and they said they thought it was over. Like they were definitely talking about Trump and everything. And me, I'm just like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I saw it, what they were trying to say, but at the same time, I was all like, I mean, I wasn't as focused on that as I was other stuff in the video.
Yeah, it was decent sci-fi. Lord, have you seen this?
No, I've not seen a single episode. I keep being told to watch it, but there is only so much time in a week, and I've been so fucking busy for this last month. I have not had the time. It's on my list, and it's near the top of my list, but I have not had time to see it yet.
It's all those videos you're doing, isn't it? To the highest quality.
For sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, all that money you're raking in.
I still haven't got my my monetization activation code thing in the mail from YouTube yet, so I'll probably be demonetized in the space of a few weeks. Oh,
gotcha. Well, as soon as you did, you're just gonna be like getting out a shovel to just piling it all in the corner.
That's the dream. So what exactly is political about this episode then? Because I assume we're talking about The Boys later, and The Boys is a good example of how you do politics, but people don't seem to mind it. The problem isn't like politics.
I think they were making kind of comparisons with the last election.
Yeah, like there was
the kind of the January. What's the date?
6th.
January 6th.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah, they like like Talea is very like, xenophobic, and we need the Krill, we need to think about all the Krill and stop being, helping out the rest of the galaxy because it's not helping us, kind of thing. And then and then they had their election, and the guy that was the Supreme Chancellor was all like, it was rigged and this is a coup and everything. And then you had the abortion talk in there for a hot minute.
Yes, it was all there.
And even though it had that stuff in there, I still love this episode. Like I thought it was very good. Yeah.
That's the sign of quality TV.
Yeah, like
especially sci-fi.
Yeah. I mean, like I have no problem being like, listen, politics is being shoved down my throat, and I'm not hungry right now. But I thought this one was okay. Like it didn't bother me.
Yeah, because the original Star Trek and TNG used to do it all the time. But,
for sure.
I think nowadays we're just, the kind of wokeometer, the woke bullshit that goes off when we see it. See, we knew they were kind of, in inverted commas, telling us a story about stuff that's gone on, but it was told in such a way that it was genuinely a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us knew what they were talking about,
right?
But did we care?
No,
because it was just a good story.
Yeah,
so.
It was thrilling. Like I'm not even lying. Like I was like at one point I was like, are they gonna kill off the main character, the captain? I was like, what's like, I came home from work and I work nights. So I came home from work and I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this right now, but I do. And so I was like, I'll watch the first 10 minutes. And then when they got to the part where they were like bringing him through the streets, I was all like, oh, I was like, and I stayed up the rest of the night and watched the whole episode. I was tired as all get out the next morning, but yeah, it was so good. I loved it. I love this episode. It was really, really good.
Is it Ed Mercer?
Yeah.
Been spreading his wild oats.
Yeah, he is. He's a little
naughty
whore.
boy. Yes, naughty boy. So, still good, boys and girls. It's great. Get up to speed with the Orville. It's really good. Let's see what's next. Who's watched The Boys this week?
I did.
I literally finished it about 10 minutes before coming on this stream.
May I go first?
Fire away.
Do it.
What a fucking great episode.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Superb. Lord, do you want to go first?
I'm trying to think. I'm still sort of digesting it.
Nerdgasm.
Nerdgasm, yeah.
Herogasm.
Herogasm.
I'm sure it gave some people a nerdgasm as well, but
probably.
No, but I think it was a good episode. It's a good solid episode. I mean, it's it's clearly building to a head and it's doing it quite nicely. I think my only criticism of The Boys, besides that, it always is teetering on the edge of taking the bad approach to politicizing storylines, which it's a very, very political show. It's just evidence that the fact of politics in shows is not necessarily what makes them bad. It's how that thing is delivered. And The Boys has always teetered right on the edge with effectively making Homelander into Donald Trump. My only other criticism of it, though, is that I think there will come a point at which its capacity to shock people sort of diminishes, because we've seen it and it's visually striking, and it has been visually striking for 3 seasons now. How much longer can they get away with the shock value of sort of giant tentacle penises and assholes and overtly disgusting stuff, which everybody loves to gawp at because everybody secretly likes watching disgusting things. It's whether or not they can continue doing that and whether they play too much on that at the expense of other things. At the moment, the storyline is holding together well, and the story is still worth sticking around for. The problem is whether it lowers its own bar too much before the end, that people sort of eventually begin to tune out and start criticizing it for other things. I thought the episode, though, yeah, it was gratuitous and it was nasty, but the story is definitely worth sticking around for. So it was, it's still enjoyable. It's still a big improvement on the previous season. And
did the orgy stuff bother you then? Because they did put they put a disclaimer right at the beginning. I don't know if they were taking the piss.
I don't think I did see the disclaimer.
Yeah, there was a disclaimer.
There was, yeah.
Yeah. I thought,
I missed
here
that.
we go then. Here we go.
I mean, usually when The Boys does something like that, it is taking the piss. I did like the beginning opening montage, the Imagine shot with that incredibly cringe moment, which I think half the clips, they were actually lifted from the Imagine video that all the celebrities did at was it the George Floyd death? And that's one of the reasons I think The Boys has managed to avoid offending people who are otherwise very quick to offend when they see, say, the police portrayed badly on screen or people overtly taking lines against Donald Trump, because The Boys is quite sort of even-handed with this. The Boys hates absolutely everyone and everything. It doesn't really take a side. So the Black Lives Matter lampooning is there, the Donald Trump lampooning is there. Everyone is shit, and it is kind of it's a very good show for our times in that sense, because it points to some very real problems in society, but then it shows us that absolutely no one who claims to be wanting to solve these problems is worth supporting, because they're all corrupt shits. So that's one of its great achievements. I think my only concern is, you said, did I not like the orgy stuff? I think the point is you're not meant to like it. My point isn't that you don't like it. My point is that we've seen this from The Boys a lot, and eventually you will get to the point where you don't even have a particularly guttural reaction to that stuff anymore, just because you've seen it so much. And when it starts, if it starts, I don't think it's done it quite yet, but if it starts just, the reason you go to watch The Boys is to see what disgusting thing they have on screen this week. I think that's the point at which it's lost all of its cultural value. It's not there yet, and hopefully it will never get there. It's just the risk with anything like this. I mean, South Park did an episode lampooning itself years ago, asking whether the fact that political discourse generally in America is so bad is because shows like South Park lowered the bar to such an extent that effectively culture followed suit. And I mean, the plot for that episode is that James Cameron has to get in a submarine, go and find the physical bar and lift it up again. I think The Boys is sort of reflective of the fact that the bar has lowered even further than that. It's just, whether or not The Boys actually contributes to the lowering of the bar is another interesting question about it. But as a show in its own terms, in its own right, it's still one of the most watchable things on TV. So I'd definitely encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to go and see
it. Matty, did you enjoy this?
I did. I thought it was good. Now I have to be honest with you. Herogasm, I didn't think went far enough in terms of because the comic book is so much like dirtier. Real quick, I apologize for my children. They're both trains right now, apparently. But even though they didn't do it like that, it was still good. It's just every time I see something on screen, I'm just like, oh, they did it better in the comic book. But no, I really liked it. The fight between Butcher, Homelander, and Soldier Boy, and Huey, I thought was
spoilers, by the way, everybody.
Yeah. Sorry. I thought that was very good. I enjoyed that immensely. And then I also liked the conversation between Huey and Starlight, that whole thing. Yeah. I thought that was really, really good. I really like the show, and I agree with Lord Chord that it hasn't gone too far yet, but if it we're just tuning in to see what weird thing they can do every week, then it's like, what's the point? Because they're just gonna, at some point you'll just be like, I've seen it, it's fine.
This is a good season. Yes,
I think so far.
Yeah, I do as well. Far. Yeah, I do. I did titter when what's the Butcher's best mates?
Mother's milk.
Yeah, when he got covered in daddy's milk. I did titter.
That's so funny.
So great episode. I think we're getting to the business end of the season now, aren't we? So
yeah, we are. And that's
going to be a good one.
That's always a sign of a good show as well, because I mean the fact that The Boys does still have people saying, I do really genuinely want to know what happens next, because I don't know, if you haven't read the comics anyway, is again proof that the story is still a good one, and it is still sort of supreme over everything else that the show does. So long may that continue. It is The Boys and Stranger Things are probably the two things I actually look forward to watching too, just on their own terms, and not because I want to see how terribly they've gone wrong. This was the case in virtually anything Disney puts out these days.
I'm going to read a couple of chats. Melvin Deeply, hello Melvin. I don't like things getting too political. It's why I unsubscribed from Nerdrotic channel. From Nerdrotic channel had a lot of good content, but it always gets back to the left and right.
Yeah, and that's important, and that's again why The Boys sort of teeters on the edge and does it, and so far has done it right, is exactly because it has this sort of, a lot of people are just fallen into that, and rightly, because I think I'm among them, and I think Melvin sounds like he is as well. This sort of the anti-politic state where everyone on both sides is so hyper partisan and so ridiculous, and you can't take anything they say seriously, that the only recourse you have really to any kind of position yourself is just to look at both sides and say this is complete shit. And The Boys basically does that. The Boys is an anti-politic show at the moment. The only thing is that it does clearly have its own opinions. It is still trying to get them across. As long as it's even-handed when it's doing them, I think this is the reason it hasn't turned a lot of people off.
It's prodding both sides at the moment, which is good.
Yeah, that's the way you do it.
Much improved from season 2. Season 3, The Boys. Peeps in the chat, get up to speed. It's really, really good. Thank God. And renewed for season 4.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Way.
Yeah.
Lord, have you seen this?
Well, now, having just said that The Boys and Stranger Things are two things that I really look forward to every week, Strange New Worlds has not kept my attention. Absolutely, it just hasn't. I've not hated. I think I've seen the first 4 episodes. I didn't hate them, apart from, was it season 3, the really stupid one with the women fighting each other? I haven't hated Strange New Worlds. It's just it's not enough to keep my attention. I've not caught up on it yet.
Yeah. Matt, thoughts?
I did not like this episode, but the thing about it is I don't like episodes that have it where there's like this. In this one, it was like a fantasy novel thing, but I don't like when they do that thing in Star Trek where they're like in Renaissance clothing or like like Robin Hood and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never liked those episodes, even in old Trek. So I don't like it here. So this episode, it was.
Have they done it again? That was. I agree. Like that's the worst bit of. I think curse whoever invented the holodeck, because it's just an invitation for filler episodes like that.
Yeah, it just I the whole time I was just like, oh, can we please get through this, because I
quite enjoyed it.
Oh, right on. That's cool. I have friends that enjoyed it that thought it was pretty good, but I was just it was not for me.
The girl who plays Noonien Singh, Chrissy,
is it Cho? Yeah.
Fucking hell, she looks amazing in that dress.
And she's very hot.
Hot as fuck.
Yeah. Although nothing could get past her voice in this episode. I was like, oh, please shut up. It's Chong, by the way, Christina Chong.
Chong, yes. She looks amazing. She looked like she'd loosened up a little bit, but she's going to be that hard-nosed bitch next week.
Right on.
But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it on a kind of, it's the least offensive. But who knows? Season 2 might be okay, but it's still got that bad taste of Burnham.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very jaded when it comes to Star Trek. Like I'm like this show, I want to love it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I've been burned too many times. I don't know if I can love it.
I'll tell you who else is not happy. Melvin stopped watching it. It's all generic and pointless. The captain's got a hairdo like a 1960s doctor. It's the only thing that's carrying the show, to be fair. His hairstyle, but
I think that's the reason, because I've not stopped watching it because I don't like it. I've stopped watching it just because I forget that it exists. And looking back to the first 3 or 4 episodes, which I think some people had some nice things to say about them, and you can see why. I think I had some nice things to say about them, but actually, when you sort of take it in the round, you realize that it's good by comparison. The only reason people had nice things to say is because it wasn't as obviously shit as Discovery and Picard.
It's bad, isn't it?
When it comes to, when you come and actually critique it on its own terms and you say, well, is this, if you forgot that the other shows existed, so you didn't have the comparison to draw on, would you look at this show and say, this is doing interesting things, it's doing new things, this is something which I'm really hooked on because this is great new sci-fi? From the first 4 episodes, and again, it might have changed since then, but the first 4 episodes, I think, no. The only reason I think I liked it was by comparison. Eventually, though, you have to critique these things on their own terms, and Strange New Worlds is just kind of meh.
As I've said previously, if this would have been 5 years ago, the first Star Trek show, I think people would have been kind of digging this.
I agree.
Would have thought, okay, it's not bad. We'll run with it. But it's, as the mighty in the chat says, it's the bad taste of Burnham. You just can't get the taste out, can you?
Yeah, I agree. Especially when they bring it up. Any episode where they bring up Burnham, it's like, ugh. I'm like, you had to bring it up.
Are they
again.
Still doing that? I thought they got over that in episode.
Occasionally.
I think that I want to say the last episode was not this week's, but maybe last week's. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think it was last week. Yeah.
The thing is, I almost miss Burnham just because at least there is something remarkable about Discovery, which is that it's incredibly shit, and she is so awful as a character that it's funny. It's also quite good for our channel, but I kind of that there is something to enjoy perversely about Discovery in that way, just because there is something remarkable about it. It's all completely bad, and it finds new ways to be bad every time. But at least it is remarkable how bad it is, and I think in a way that's almost better than just bland nothingness. At least it gives you something to comment on, I guess. But
I think if Brian Fuller hadn't have been booted out of Discovery, I think we would have been in a different position now with Star Trek.
It definitely would have been more creative. It would have been more intelligent. It would have been more visually striking.
It would have been watching Star Trek.
Brian Fuller did give us the mushroom drive, which is just all kinds of dumb. So he wasn't exactly great for it, but you can tell the moment at which his input stops in something like Discovery, because that's when all the characters he was most interested in stop having any development at all. So I mean, I like Brian Fuller. I think Hannibal was it was a very silly series at times. It was an absolutely beautifully, sublimely done show. And you would have, and American Gods is stylistically, notable as well, and that's another one of his. Discovery would at least have looked much better. It would have been something that you could critique on artistic grounds if Brian Fuller had stuck around, but he didn't. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so what we're saying is it's the least offensive Star Trek series we've had.
Inoffensive is a good way to describe it.
Yeah,
bad, isn't it? Just I want to love it. For me, Star Trek is my favorite, and we're just not getting it, are we? So anyway,
yeah.
Moving on. Superman Lois.
Yeah, I love this show. I love it.
It's great, isn't
so
it?
Good. Yeah, it's so good. I cannot wait for the season finale. It's like so good. I'm going to be bummed, but at the same time, I cannot wait. It's going to be so good.
And it's this Tuesday, isn't it?
It
Instead of having to wait about 8 weeks.
Right. Yeah. Which is a bummer, because I was looking at the ratings. I think it was the other day. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I noticed that when they had a hiatus, that's when the ratings dropped for the next episode. And I was like, it makes perfect sense, because even I was like, oh, it's on this week. And then I'd go to check my TV, and I was like, oh, it didn't record. I was like, and then I go look, I was like, oh no, we still have like 3 weeks. I was like, well, this is stupid and everything. So I'm like, if I'm doing this, then what are people that don't watch it on the regular doing? So I was like, they need to get that under control real quick.
Very, very, as I said before, very, very, if I can say, very bad COVID issues on set.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're going to hit the ground running next season, and I think it'll be yes.
I agree. The only thing that I would say for next season is don't do like the Kryptonian type kind of villain, because even though Allie is not a Kryptonian in this one, she's got like Superman's powers pretty much. She's like strong.
She stole the powers, yes.
And she can fly and stuff. And I'm all like, don't get me wrong, I love this season, but next season, no more flying strong people. You're gonna get caught in that. I don't know what the word for it is, but no more of that. No more of that. New villain, new powers.
I think, as we've said for many, many weeks, for the kind of the pulp kind of sci-fi stuff, or the kind of comic book stuff, I think this is the best program on TV at the moment.
I agree. Yeah, it's really good.
And it's been like that for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame that it's not on every week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no. I love this show. I can't say anything. I can say nothing but good things about this show. It's so good.
Franco Walker. Hello, Franco. I liked the way they did the opening 10 minutes of Superman and Lois. Get all the backstory out of the way and get into the new stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think last year, when I said I was in, first 10 minutes when we saw the backstory, I was in. I knew this was going to be good.
Yeah. Well, I think this. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it took 4 or 5 minutes for me to be sold that this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And it has been.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that when it comes to the backstory, they just like everybody knows the story of Superman. We don't need to be told a million times. So it's like you get it out of the way, you're good to go, everything's all set, and then you can just move forward. So it's like Spider-Man. Everybody knows Spider-Man's origin story.
Yeah.
You don't need to be told 15 times.
So again, everybody, get it watched. It's great. We love it. Best program you're not watching, although Franco's watching it. Well done, Franco.
Yeah, so good.
Matty, do you want to say anything about the
Sure.
season finale?
First thing I want to say is your guys' roast last Wednesday was very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Good views on that.
Yep, and this show sucks. It was just the worst. I do not understand. If they do a season 2, it'll just be bad. I don't understand. I don't understand why this got greenlit at all. I don't understand any. Like Riva, her motivations confuse me the most because I'm all like, I don't understand any of it. It makes no sense to me. Like I was trying to, I don't know. I'd have to be like that guy from that show where he's got all those strings attached to the wall and stuff to try to figure it out. But I couldn't. I was like, she's mad at Darth Vader because he killed a bunch of younglings, and then she's gonna go kill Luke to appease. And then she's all like, I failed him, and I'm all like, what's going on here? And then he's like, you didn't fail him. And he's like, and I can't remember what he said, but he's like, you're good now. And I'm all like, what's going on here? What? She's good because she didn't kill a little kid? Like, is she forgiven now for all the other people she killed? She lobbed a woman's hand off like 4 episodes ago just for saying
ginger.
That is a good point. They have no soul. But all she said was, hey, nobody important is here. We're on a crappy planet. And then she's like, all right, your hand's gone. I'm all like, what? Over that? I was like, that's crazy. I was like,
if I may, Matt, can I throw it back at you?
Go ahead.
Was there anything you enjoyed from this series?
I mean, off the top, no. Wade was nice, but only because he's a meme now. But
R.I.P. Wade. Sad loss.
Yeah, I literally just every time I like think about this show, I'm all like, this was such a waste of everybody involved and everybody that watched its time. It was bad. It was bad.
So you're looking forward to season 2 then?
I mean, no, but I'll watch it.
Shall we give the last word to the Dark Sith Lord Chord?
Do it.
Oh, I clapped when he said hello there. That I clapped when I saw Qui-Gon. I clapped when I heard the Imperial March for the one time in the show in the final episode.
Right.
No, I say like, what else is there left to say on Obi-Wan? I mean, it's probably one of the worst things just for the amount of opportunity that it squandered. It's different with something like the Book of Boba Fett, which, Boba Fett is cool, but it's not integral to any storyline, past or present. It doesn't really too badly cock up with continuity. You can wreck Boba Fett without doing much damage to anything else. You can't say the same thing of Darth Vader, and you can't say the same thing of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you can't say the same thing of Princess Leia, because these are all so integral to past and future Star Wars, and these are the things that this show cared the least about. But I think the most remarkable thing about it was just how little it had by way of ideas. The fact that episode 5 and 6 had the same plot. I mean, we need to fix something before we run out of time and the Empire catches us. So Obi-Wan goes and surrenders himself. Oh, we need to... And episode 4 and 3 as well did have the same plot, didn't they? Leia is kidnapped, Obi-Wan rescues her. Leia is kidnapped, Obi-Wan rescues her. The fact it had so little ideas, and then even in its biggest moments, like the thing we're supposed to all have been waiting for, this rematch of the century between Vader and Obi-Wan, and they just stole it scene by scene from Rebels. They couldn't even create that. Just makes you think, what the hell ever got this show off the ground? There was nothing new in it. Its biggest moments were stolen, and everything else was shit, and just did massive damage to the past and the present of Star Wars. So, I mean, an appalling show, really, really appalling from start to finish. And I don't know how they can justify teasing talk of sequels and spin-offs when they didn't have enough material to fill 2 episodes of this one.
There was, I think there was a solid 2-hour program.
Well, no, I think 2 hours, it probably had enough material in it for 2 hours. I still don't think it would have been good because nothing in the show was good.
I didn't say that. It just been solid 2 hours.
Oh,
it was just fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This should have been a movie made for Disney Plus, because I feel like they could have condensed it into 2 hours. And...
I would have loved to have seen what the original script was like, because that was going to be a movie.
And the plot for the original series, before they scrapped it and started all over again, the plot for that leaked online, and I can't remember exactly. There was another Jedi who was posing as a sane person. That sounded way better than this garbage. I can't speak to too much about it because I can't really remember, but yeah, I mean the subtitle for this show should have been copy and paste. It was bad, and I think Lord Short, I think you said it the best. I think on Wednesday when you said that they don't they do literally do not understand how the Force works. Like you can't just, it's not telekinesis. You can't just pick a building up and throw it. That's not how it works. You're not you can't. It's super frustrating, and it's very obvious that the people at Lucasfilm, they don't care about this IP or the characters or even the fans. They just care about, you know, using the names of these characters and the IP, and it's super frustrating and annoying, and I hate them for it.
In the chat, Romeo Tango November Zulu. Reva's redemption arc made no sense. And why did she go looking for Luke? She had already betrayed Vader. What was she trying to achieve? Baffling.
Completely baffling. The only way that would have worked is if both she and Vader knew that Luke was Vader's kid, but neither of them knew that at this point. So she was like, it would have made, the other way you can have it make sense is if because she has Bail Organa's hologram message, because Bail Organa is a fucking moron and leaves voicemails all littered across the galaxy. But if, you know, she's from that, you can sort of write your way to a position where she thinks, oh, okay, so Vader is, you know, might be searching for children. Obi-Wan is definitely searching for this kid. I need to get back at one or both of them. So I'm going to go hold Luke hostage, just as I did with Leia, because I know Obi-Wan's going to come looking for him, and this will give me another chance to strike at Obi-Wan or Vader or both of them. It doesn't make sense the way they wrote it, the way they wrote it, though. It makes absolutely, literally zero sense goes into that writing and that construction. I don't understand how that can go through a script process and have someone sign off on it, because there's no character motivation there. It's just nonsense.
Melvin in the chat, I agree. Why does Obi exist? It's more badly written than a school play. Sir Alec Guinness is rolling in his grave. I don't know, because Alec Guinness was sick to fucking death as Star Wars, so that could go either way, Melvin, but probably.
Well, and I back to Reva just real quick. Let's just pretend she had killed Luke. What was the next step? Go back to Vader and be like, I killed your son, take me back. Like, what was going on there? Like, did she think that was gonna, do any good for her in the long run? Yeah, that's the whole. That's what I don't understand. Like, she's like, I failed him. I'm like, honey, you failed him a long time ago. Just so you know.
Well, she also said she failed them, as in she failed the younglings that Vader murdered, and she failed the younglings because she failed to kill another child. Like, why does killing children solve the problem of the dead children? You could have done good things with her character. Like, it's an interesting premise with, sort of fallen Jedi or dark side user, someone who survives Order 66. From that premise, that's the bit at which it fails and falls apart completely. But that premise you can do stuff with. It's just that they did nothing.
And I think you've mentioned this before also on these streams, but they did that before in Fallen Order. They like you said, everything they've done in this show, or pretty much everything, is just taken from something else of Star Wars, which I just go, why make this then? I don't know, man. It's just bad.
A live action Fallen Order would have been really good to watch. I mean, it's the only sort of semi decent story that's been produced since arguably Rogue One. But I mean, I've heard that, there is the rumor mill that they are considering doing a Cal Kestis show, but how they can do a Cal Kestis show given that the Obi-Wan show has just stolen so much of the plot for Fallen Order? I mean, what's left for the Cal Kestis show if there ever is one? It would have made sense to do that one instead. You could even find a way potentially of writing Obi-Wan into it somehow as a cameo appearance or something that would have achieved exactly the same thing, would still have added something new to the galaxy. It couldn't have done as much damage as this show did. But instead they stole from it and then put the scenes in a much worse show. Same thing with Rebels, same thing with the Clone Wars. It's such a waste.
It's like Faulty Towers, this, when he goes, the Germans episode where he goes, don't mention the war. It's like, don't mention Obi-Wan. Okay, Melvin Deeply, I don't know if I missed a vital scene, probably. But how did Reva know Luke was Vader's son, and how did she know he was staying with Owen?
So she didn't know that he was Vader's son, which is why the entire thing falls apart. She does know that he's on Tatooine. Well, the Bail Organa's message contains, I think, 4 words. The broken one, it
Right.
says children, boy, Tatooine, and
Owen.
there's one, an Owen. So she meets Owen as a random farmer in episode 1. So from that scant information, she immediately knows, that's the guy,
Right.
that's the child, and then somehow reasons that this will do something bad to Vader, even though she doesn't know because she can't know that.
Right? Yeah, yeah. It's so. And what if that had nothing to do with Vader? That's my whole thing. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing.
It's just Reva's thing. She can't see a child that she doesn't want to kill and pickle. That's just what she does.
Yeah, right.
Kill and pickle. I will say highlights of the series for me was the actress Indira
Verma.
Verma. Yeah, she was great.
Seems good. I think Baby Leia.
Calclon had the scene of the series for me.
Yeah, he did.
And Baby Leia was.
I think she was
cute.
awfully written, but the actress did a good job. It's
Yeah,
just that the
You
character.
think so? I thought she was
Yeah,
bad. Ah.
Yeah,
well, maybe it's just my soft heart, and because I don't have children, so I don't hate them.
Dark
but,
heart.
when she's playing off of another person who can act, like some of her exchanges with Ewan
agreed.
McGregor, I think worked quite well.
Yes.
The problem with her was largely her character, and then of course they make her she is insufferable when she has to play an insufferable character, but that's I think because they wrote her as an insufferable character in other scenes.
IT expert as well. So also, not too bad.
Yeah. Not a runner though at all.
Sure,
okay, so as we said Wednesday, it is just frustrating how we all wanted this to be good, and again we were shortchanged. So moving on.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Here we go then. So I supply the news, and I produce the news, and like a great news anchor, you go for it. Yes.
I still need theme music, but yeah,
I'll sort that eventually. When I get my new computer up and running, we'll go high tech. Yesterday, 40 years anniversary of Bladerunner. We were going to do a stream, but it didn't happen. So I apologize to everybody. That will happen this week. So who's watched Bladerunner? Matt, have you seen Bladerunner?
Yeah.
What do you think to it?
I don't like it.
Ooh, blasphemy.
I just don't. Every time
Reasons?
I don't know, because every time I sit down to watch it, I literally am just like, oh, I don't care. I'm like, can somebody just, every time a character shows up, I'm like, I do like the bad guy. What's his face? The robot guy. I like him. I'm on his side the whole time. I'm like, yeah, humans suck. I'm like, but I don't like this movie. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh, that was a waste of time. But I can't really give you any real reasons. Maybe I just need to get over it and just try to be positive. But
before we get to the Lord, I watched it yesterday. I think it was the final cut to do the slides. I've done the slides. I had to watch it intently. I had a decent pair of headphones on, and I was watching on my laptop. The sound design is fantastic, and I'm like you, Matt. I never kind of, when I watched it when I was a kid, I thought, what the fucking hell's this? I was expecting Star Wars, because Harrison Ford gun, here we go. And he's like, what? I watched it yesterday, and it is a masterpiece. It's fantastic.
Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it. It's been a couple years.
Yeah, you've got to put your phone away, make sure there's no distractions.
Yeah, but isn't there like 4 versions of this movie? That's another thing. Like, I'm always watching, I'm like, when did this part happen? And then I'm all like, I don't remember this at all. And I don't know. Or how many versions of this are there?
I think the thinking is now to avoid the original theatrical cut, because it's got the narration from Harrison Ford, and I think he even admitted it himself that it was shit because he can't act, and he didn't care. I watched the final cut.
Gotcha. I'll write it down.
and I think I watched about a year ago. I watched the Polish version of the director's with Polish subtitles, which was interesting. But yeah, it is a great film. It's just great. Lord, what do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of it does depend on which version you watch. I hadn't seen the theatrical cut until I think this year was the first time I watched the theatrical one with Harrison Ford's voiceover. It's the different cuts are essentially different films. So the theatrical cut is very much sort of noir detective, and very deliberately stylized in that way. And I don't think it works at all as well. I get the different director's cuts confused. The final and longest one, which of course does away with the voiceover entirely. I think, yeah, that is, I would say that is a masterpiece in the same way that 2001 is, in that it's not necessarily something you can appreciate as you appreciate a conventional film. It's highly speculative. It's deeply thoughtful. It's questioning. Half of the joy of watching the film is going away after it and asking the questions that the film has left you with, which is always a sign of an intelligent sci-fi, but it's not always the way to drive plot along it in the most convincing way. There are, of course, aspects of Blade Runner that have dated a bit. The thing with the genius of 2001 is that it hasn't dated at all, but that's because it's not a human film at all. It's entirely about the science, whereas Blade Runner is a much more human film. And so you have the sort of pitfalls of fashion, some of the style in the human characters. It definitely marks it as a film of its day. But
2019, was it 2019 it was set?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And then you've got 2042. I know, I don't recognize the city very much, but no, I think the full length, the final theatrical cut is sublime. And again, the technique, the masterwork that goes into the set construction of that, Vangelis's soundtrack, which is just iconic. The fact it's given so much to cinema as well. I mean, think of the number of sci-fi shows or films which open with panning shots of dystopian city. Even Coruscant on Star Wars owes so much of its design to Los Angeles and Blade Runner. It's a remarkable film for what it gave to cinema, and I will have to rewatch it again since it's the anniversary. I'll be looking forward to
that. Watching the scenes of the spinner going towards the tower on the Blu-ray edition, you could see the grain in the film, and it just looked incredible. Whereas nowadays it'd be just picture perfect. But because what was involved to make the film, and shooting multiple plates where the film effectively degrades as you kind of shooting it again and again and again, it just added to the entire scene, and it just looked incredible. I'll show you a slide.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's such a staggering and striking shot, the opening for Blade Runner, of course, with the soundtrack as well. And yeah, it's almost every shot. It's just stunning film visually. And it's also one of those ones where things just sort of come together. There are a few films like that where things just come together in a way that's almost preordained. So when Rutger Hauer rewords his closing monologue without telling anyone beforehand, and turns it from what's quite a long and heavy and almost cliche sci-fi thing to this improv line, which is one of the most sort of beautiful lines in film, and his performance, but the fact that he was able to do that on the fly as well, which is testament to his abilities, not just as an actor, but as a writer as well. And again, it's one of those things that people have tried to mimic and just haven't done anything like as well. There's a compilation somewhere, I don't remember which website it's on, of other Blade Runner inspired speeches like that, and they are so cheesy, it's unbelievable. They're always way too long. There's too many sci-fi words in them. It sounds silly, but he condenses the entire essence of his character and his story into what is a very short speech, but it feels much longer because of the profundity of it. Just brilliant all the way through, I think.
Franco is actually now watching the stream, but he was looking at the Superman slide for half an hour and didn't realise that we were transmitting. But Franco, 2019, and not a smartphone in sight. They were using phones, weren't they? Vid phones.
Yeah, I just want to say I've done that before and watching the stream, and like I'll be like a half hour behind. I'll be like, "Oh shit, I messed up," and then I'll fast forward real quick, and I'll be like, "I'm commenting on crap you guys talked about 20 minutes ago. Ridiculous."
I loved all the product placement as well. RCA and I think Coca-Cola were there, Pan Am, and I noticed yesterday Atari.
Yes, yeah, no, I think there's an Atari billboard, isn't it? But it works in that context. I mean, that's product placement that actually adds something to the aesthetic of the film, because it's completely of a piece with the premise of the film. You have this hyper modern, hyper capitalistic, hyper brutal kind of mercantile city and world in which they live. Of course, you would see massive, huge holographic advertisements for company X, Y, Z. It actually makes the world feel more alive, and a lot of times product placement just doesn't do that. It's just overt and almost distracting. But in Blade Runner, it fits the scene perfectly.
Matty, you really do need to just get a couple of hours where you can just sit down.
I will try. I won't. I will try to do it this week.
I think you'll appreciate it.
I will get onto iTunes and download the final cut ASAP.
I can sort it out for you if you need it. So, okay, so it's a great film. We will be discussing it, if I can speak, discussing it with the Mega Geek and some other peeps, hopefully this week. 40 years yesterday. Wow. Okay, so let's move on. From the sublime to the failure. It's flopped, hasn't it, guys?
It's falling with style, as a number of people have pointed out.
I had a quick look at the numbers. It's been out, is it 2 weeks? 10 days?
Yeah, something like that.
Worldwide, it's only made $100 million.
Oof.
That's a hammer blow, isn't it?
Yeah. What was the budget on this movie? Wasn't it like 200
Yeah,
mil?
I would imagine it'd be 200 mil, 250.
Man, that's so bad. That sucks, man.
I think, first of all, what you do is you don't get rid of Tim Allen.
Yeah, and plus I don't I wasn't even interested. I love Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear, but like this movie is not Buzz Lightyear, and like my kids weren't even interested in. My son loves Woody and Buzz, and I was just like, I mean, he's only 4, so I was like, "You want to go see this movie?" He's like, "No, maybe tomorrow." And I was like, "Well, it's today or nothing, fool. We can't go see it tomorrow." So I don't know. I'm not interested. I mean, I'll watch it when it's on Disney Plus because I already pay for it, but I'm not going to spend buco bucks at the movie theater for this movie.
See, I think that's quite revealing, because a lot of people, I would argue, are taking the wrong lesson away from this film. A lot of people online, the usual suspects, basically saying, "Oh, look, well, that's just because they did the gay people thing." But actually, no, you can't. That doesn't explain why no one in the first place, especially kids who just aren't aware of the alleged politics around it, just aren't interested in seeing it. The reason it's flopped isn't because it dared to show 2 women kissing for like not even 2 seconds of thing. It's just because it's not a cultural moment for this. Like no one's really been anticipating it. Toy Story has, I mean, people have fond memories of Toy Story, but no one is yearning really, I don't think, for another one. And they're not really yearning for a spin-off. I mean, if they're not really yearning for Toy Story, they're definitely not yearning for a spin-off, which is what this is. So all the people saying this is proof that you shouldn't do the gay people thing, I think, are just learning completely the wrong lesson. That's not why this film failed. This film failed because no one was interested in it to begin with. You can take your own political leanings away from it if you want to.
May I disagree with you?
You can try.
Okay, I'll try. And Hassan, hello, Hassan. He's got the same attitude as me. Lightyear was doomed from the start when it was announced that Tim Allen was not returning, and that was it. And game over. So,
I do have to say that I think that was a mistake on their part. I mean, because they're all like, "Oh, we want to get this young star that's Captain America to bring in all the fans and everything." And I'm like, okay, but I'm not I don't care.
It's called comedic timing.
Yeah. I do want to just say though, Lord Short, I do agree with you. I don't think it was about the lesbian kiss either. I have 2 children. If they saw 2 women kissing in a movie, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, lesbians exist, so they're going to see it sooner or later.
Apparently, it wasn't needed in the story, but agreed.
Well,
I don't
okay,
think.
okay
don't.
then.
Yeah.
I give that argument sort of short shrift as well, because no one makes the same point when you have straight couples kissing when it's irrelevant to the story, which happens in every Disney product ever. I get the point that people make, because, you know, look, hell, my channel criticizes overt wokeism whenever we see it. Not criticizing this because it's just not worth criticizing. I cannot think of a standard. I've not seen anybody evince a standard by which to criticize that scene that you cannot equally well apply, but people just choose not to apply to plot irrelevant straight couples kissing. It's such a non-thing. It happens. It's like the scene at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. It doesn't need to be there, sure, but then that can be said of virtually any kiss that's not between two principal characters that's ever taken place on screen. This film just was unnecessary. It's not the cultural moment for it. It didn't have the proper marketing campaign. I don't think it helped that you had Chris Evans come out and call people stupid for not like that. I don't think that helps at all, but that doesn't explain why kids don't want to go and see it, because kids aren't aware of all of this background stuff, and nevertheless, kids aren't particularly interested in it either.
May I compromise a little with you, Lord?
Try.
You're totally correct. I think if it wasn't needed, but I think if Tim Allen was voicing, I think it would have done better than 100 million. They probably would have got their money back and made a small profit, but that's just me.
No, that's definitely possible. I mean, that's not. I think that sort of feeds into it. Again, I don't think, again, though, like the target audience for this film is particularly aware of that either. Although I agree it helps. I mean, so like Chris Evans, it is Chris Evans, isn't it? I get the Chris is confused.
Yeah.
But if you watch him as Captain America, you don't watch his performance and think he's got a really distinctive voice. He can do good things with that. Like, he's not charismatic as a speaker particularly. He's got great presence body when he's there. Yeah, well, exactly. He's there for that reason. He's got a great physical presence. Occasionally he can act, but he's not particularly sort of persuasive or engaging when he speaks, and he's voice acting in this role, and that's kind of important if you're a voice actor, is that people remember your voice. And Tim Allen has an instantly recognizable voice. He has, as you say, comic timing. He can deliver lines as the, because he doesn't need to be on screen to make his character have presence. And I don't think the same can be said of Chris Evans. So that definitely goes into it. I think there's a number of other things that go into it as well. All I'm saying is that I think people who look at it and say, well, that's all because of the lesbian kiss, have learned basically the least important lesson from why this film failed.
Right on.
Do you think Tim Allen's having the last laugh over this?
I probably imagine so.
Yeah. It's like, I told you. Can I just say one thing about what Melvin had said earlier about children not knowing who Tim Allen is? I just want to say I kind of agree with Tim Allen on Melvin about that. I'm pretty sure my kids, they wouldn't know the difference, kind of thing. But as the adult with the money, I care. So I would say, you know, my kids would be like, I want to go see this movie, and I'd be like, no, I'm taking a stand.
And ultimately, it's you paying for the tickets to go see it. So, and that's where they missed the trick, isn't it?
Yeah. And can I say one more thing about Chris Evans and his calling people idiots and everything? I love how he was all like, how ironic it was that he's all like, you're going to go the way of the dinosaur. And yet Jurassic Park beat them in the box office their opening weekend. I was like, that's so ironic. Look at you.
Do you think a lot to do with this is the place where Disney are at the moment? They're in the mud, aren't they? They're really, Disney is not looked on favorably by anybody at the moment, especially in the States.
Yeah, there is that, but there's also the fact that people only have a certain amount of capacity for sequels, I think. And, you know, there are certain, even now, Marvel is starting to struggle with this. I think people have, you know, the sheen has come off that. But there are certain things that people will look out for because it's, you know, it's got a place quite near the front of their recent memory. And you've got a lot of this coming out at around the same time. You've got Star Wars still going. You've got the MCU churning out sequel after sequel, show after show. You've got Jurassic World coming out. That's another long-standing product which is coming to a close. There's only so many of these things that people actually have room to remember and actually to divide their resources between.
Agreed.
new films which add something new, like Dune, for example, when that comes out, that adds something new. That's something people are interested in, not as a continuation of a story, but it's a new product, and that's in a different category of film. But people only have a limited capacity for sequels and things like that, and just Toy Story is not at the front of people's imagination in the way that the MCU is, for example. And so if it's a choice between the MCU, Jurassic World, Star Wars, or Lightyear, one of them's going to be ditched, and Lightyear's the one.
I think this should have just gone straight to Disney Plus, and
they put every other Pixar movie on there. Why not this one?
Just had it as a cheap CGI film, but instead they threw $250 million at it, and they're going to lose a shitload of money. But such is life. So moving on. Top Gun has made $1 billion. It crossed the line this weekend. Top Gun, $1 billion.
Yeah, deserved.
It's his first film. He's made $1 billion as well.
Right on. Yeah. No, I love this movie. So good for him. Although he's crazy as a loon, I'll tell you that. But,
he's a professional, though. Whatever you think of him, he is. He's a professional.
I agree.
As we've said previous streams, Top Gun was made for the customers, he said. And there you go. And they went to go see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Lord, have you seen it yet?
No, which has actually been quite helpful, because I've had a few people in the comments under our videos saying you're just typical straight white male American Top Gun loving kid. Okay, I could just call you up on a few of those things. Maybe actually watch the video. So the fact that I haven't seen it has been helpful. But no, I haven't seen it yet.
That's so funny.
I've said it for the previous 2 weeks. I'm going to try and go see it again this week before it finishes. See it on the biggest. If you haven't seen it, folks, watch it on the biggest screen you can see it on, preferably IMAX. This was only the second film to make $1 billion post the Coof.
Yeah, was Spider-Man the other one?
Yeah, Spider-Man, yes.
Yeah, that was good too. I enjoyed that.
I think both successful for much the same reasons, for what it sounds like. That they honor the past material. They don't inject any kind of particularly modern message to them. What they're concerned with is, giving fans what they know fans like. What a shocking idea that is. But I don't think it's a coincidence that both of those films have done incredibly well, whereas other films haven't.
There was a female pilot in the Top Gun school, but she'd earned her position to be there.
Yeah.
And they didn't slap you over the head with it while you were watching it. And she was a great character. And it was just a great film all round. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was really, really good. There were some nonsensical parts in the movie, but I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I don't want to give anything away, and I don't want Lord Chord to get it ruined for him.
The odds of me watching it at this point are quite slim, so
you need to watch it, Lord. You need to watch it.
It's just the part where they're running through like the woods and everything, and they just happen to find each other. I was like, man, they ran so far and they found each other. I was like, that's a little. I was like, but it's fine. I can
locators.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
It was made from the right place, and when it's made from the right place, the audience cometh.
I agree.
So, well done, Tom. You deserve it. Moving on. We've not had any Musk news for a while. Apparently, it's gone. The board have approved the takeover, Lord, of Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, last time I sort of stopped paying attention to the psychodrama about it, but the last time I checked, the board has done it, but Elon Musk is still prevaricating because of the bots data that he still wants to see. I don't know if they've actually provided him with that yet. So it's it's both sides are essentially have been playing standoff, and it was the board, and now it's Elon Musk, and it does sort of strike you as though both are trying to string this out for as long as they possibly can because it's getting them lots of attention.
Right. when it was kind of people were thinking it was not going to go through, everybody was saying buy YouTube instead.
That would be great if he were actually serious about doing it, and also serious about his stated goals, morality, and all the rest of it. But it's what buying Twitter is one thing, and buying YouTube off of Google is something else entirely.
Right.
Do you think? I personally think he should buy YouTube instead of Twitter, but that's just me.
Oh no, definitely, I agree. It would be lovely.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be more expensive? I mean,
massively more expensive.
Yeah, I from what I understand, he had to ask some other people for some money, like, hey, you want to get on this Twitter deal kind of thing? And I'm all like, yeah, because everybody's like, oh, you should buy YouTube. And I'm all like, can he afford YouTube though? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and that was always one of the things to be suspicious about as well. When he starts off by saying, I'm a free speech absolutist. And then you get his financial backers, which include the royal family of Qatar, coming out and saying, yes, we absolutely agree with what Elon Musk thinks free speech is. And it's like, really? The Qatari royal family shares Elon Musk's views on free speech now, does it? That's interesting. I expect the pride parades to be legalized in the name of free speech in Qatar.
Thank fuck. Franco YT would benefit from Musk. Yep. So it's not over. The it's not signed, sealed, delivered yet. So it's probably going to run for a bit more. So okay. Did anybody see this?
No.
An original
that's so
prop from Star Wars. There was a channel. I forget that. I think the guy's called Adam. I can't remember the name of. He used to be in. Oh God, I can't remember his. He does all these kind of movie props and special effects. Is a channel on YouTube. He's quite a big channel. Adam something. His name eludes me, but he did a stream about this a few weeks ago. A video about this. It was an original Star Wars.
Adam Savage's Tested.
Thank you, Franco. You can come on here anytime. Thank you, my friend. I don't even think it's kind of like a plastic model. It's kind of if I remember rightly, it's like a rubber model. And it was something, it was going to be a prop where it would be blown up. But it was never, I think it was never used. It was never blown up. So somewhere along the line, somebody took it home. Mythbusters, cheers, Romeo. Somewhere took it home, and it's been hidden ever since. And then it just appeared.
Yeah.
And it looked amazing. It was only just kind of like a normal kind of model kit size X-Wing fighter, one what you'd buy off the shelf.
Yeah.
But it went for a stupid amount of money.
So much money. Not worth it.
It does look good, though.
Yeah, it looks cool, but like that's so much money. It's so much money.
Then you think, how much money have Disney spent CGIing versions of that which don't look as good?
Oh, that's a good point too. But I just feel like that's so much money for such an extravagance. I don't understand it, but
it would be nice to have enough money to be able to
right?
splash out and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guy was all like, just buy it, it's fine, whatever.
I will just say to everybody in the chat, Adam Savage, his channel did a stream about this a few weeks ago. You should really check it out because it's just his channel's great anyway. Any Star Wars fan who's I remember building one of those model kits back when I was a kid.
Yeah, I built one too.
Yeah, my dad had some of the original sort of toys from the 70s. I think they were the first toys I ever
I wish
actually
I kept them.
Yeah, same. But they were
unassembled
the
as
toys
well.
I ever played with, and they all looked amazing.
Yeah, me and my grandpa, we used to build them together.
Yeah, the X-Wing is a classic. Just fantastic. I would have loved to know. Somebody's got very deep pockets to buy that.
Yeah,
that's
maybe it's the royal family of Qatar.
Yeah, that's a proper piece of movie memorabilia. So from the original Star Wars. So let's move on. So here we go then. This is the news you've been waiting for, folks.
Right on.
Lord, are you excited? Season 2?
Oh, well, no, except that, well, it does great service for my channel. So, I mean,
Right.
I think I said to Z the other day, I was like, if I ever get a career off of my YouTube channel, I will
This is the one.
perversely owe it to Kathleen Kennedy. And that's a horrible thought.
That's so true. It's so true.
As I said in the last stream, I would happily swap all of that for a good Star Wars show. That's just not what we're going to get.
I agree with you 100% on that, by the way.
Yeah, but this is the
good for
problem,
you.
because a lot of people did look at this, and as I said, they clapped when he said hello there, and they clapped when they saw Qui-Gon, and they clapped when he saw the lightsabers and Vader, and that's the target audience. A lot of people genuinely did like this show, and that's bad because it proves that people have taste.
People are entitled to like stuff.
Well, people are absolutely entitled to like stuff, but they're wrong.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yes,
I
Lord.
agree. They are wrong. This was not good. It was bad writing all the way around. It was just no good.
The way I look at that is, okay, what about it did they like? Well, they liked Vader, they liked lightsabers, they liked Qui-Gon, they liked Obi-Wan, they liked the nostalgia, they liked seeing the stuff on screen that was familiar. Okay, what of that would you not get from a well-written show? Well, none of it. You can have both of these things. So it's fine. People can like whatever they want to like. The point is it's objectively badly written, and it doesn't need to be, because you can accomplish both things. You can write a good show with things on screen that you like to see, and it would be better than a shit show with things on screen that you like to see, which is what we got from Obi-Wan.
Right on. Yeah. And you may not have got as many views, but you might have got a lot if it was really, really good and you praised it up and down.
Well, we said on Wednesday, didn't we, Lord? We would have loved to have talked for 2.5 hours saying just how amazing the show was.
Yeah, and I keep getting I actually haven't had too many of them, but occasionally you'll get comments under videos criticizing this, saying Star Wars fans have too high standards, they want perfection, and they hate all Star Wars, which is ironic. Like, okay, no. It's not a high standard that this thing is falling short of. It's the bare minimum fucking standard this thing is falling short of. It's not even good for a bad show. It's just all around bad. And as far as Star Wars fans hate all Star Wars things, I keep having to point out in the course of the reviews we've done, I have praised Fallen Order, Dark Forces, Jedi Academy, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance, Rogue One, the original trilogy, John Williams soundtrack, Rogue Squadron. Like, I keep mentioning these things in the reviews because it's proof that Star Wars fans actually do. I mean, not all of these things are perfect, but they're still good. We don't want perfection. We just want good Star Wars, and it's not that hard to achieve.
You know, when you said that they're saying, no, your standards are too high, blah, 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 and all that stuff, I've just thought, well, no, it's because your standards are too low.
Yes. Like, is it really that high a standard to say something like, for example, I don't think Star Destroyers should conveniently disappear between shots because the plot needs to happen? Like, that's not difficult to accomplish. Just slightly write the show a different way. Or maybe the main character who doesn't like the fact that children have been murdered should not go around taking revenge by murdering children. Maybe that's the level of, that so high a standard? Apparently for modern Disney Star Wars fans, it is, but that says more about them
set him
than
off again.
Else.
Set him off. Kennedy should just fuck off.
Yeah, could have condensed that entire answer into that. That's
Kennedy, just take your settlement. Just go gracefully, please.
The problem is it's not just her, because you've got, Dave Filoni, which again, people were saying Dave Filoni will save all of this stuff. And then you go back to some of the worst episodes of the Clone Wars and some of the worst ideas that threw in, like Inquisicopters and all the rest of that. And you think, well, that was all Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni did the book of Boba Fett, I think. Well, he's heavily involved in it. Like, he's not that good. I think there was at one point with, there was an episode of the Clone Wars that Filoni had written. And obviously, this was airing on Cartoon Network at the time. It was Cartoon Network's most successful ever thing. And Filoni took the script to George Lucas, and George Lucas said, "That's shit, and you're not putting that on screen under my name." And so he pulled the entire episode, annoyed Cartoon Network, and told Filoni to redo it, because Filoni is not actually the second coming of George Lucas, surprisingly.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I like the Inquisitor. What did you call it? The hell? What the hell?
Inquisicopters.
That's so funny. Yeah, you've mentioned that before, and I'm like, every time you do, I'm like, he's right. Those were so stupid. I remember seeing those, and I kept thinking, like, how does that fly? That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
Yeah, you can.
Even in a galaxy far, far away.
You know it's bad when Lord is going.
That's still better writing than the Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's just put letters on screen; it would do a better job.
Right.
Before we move on, would you like to read Melvin Deeply's comments?
Who?
You.
Oh, me. Cord is right. You didn't need to say that because
that's Lord.
We don't need perfection. And honestly, what TV show or movie is perfect? What we need is a minimum standard of acceptability to be maintained. It shouldn't be that hard. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Well done, Melvin. We'll just quickly mention Michael J. Fox is going to get an honorary Oscar for all his charity work with the Parkinson's stuff.
I mean, good for him. Does anybody pay attention to that stuff anymore? Like, I know I don't. I don't care.
Well, if he has Parkinson's, he could have filmed all the action scenes in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I made that gag on Wednesday and I got shot down for it.
I missed
You
that.
did. I remember. It was too soon. It was too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Okay, so it's a shame he wasn't getting a genuine one for acting, but
it is a bummer.
I suppose the thought is there.
Yeah,
he's a good actor.
He is a good actor. I just watched Back to the Future like 3 weeks ago. I love that movie.
It's a great film. Okay, so this has been going off this week. The swimming FINA swimming committee board, no more transgender women in swimming.
Well,
so my favourite's She's had it.
Yeah, it's all about the wording that they used, because isn't it you can, if you start transitioning at the age of 11.
Yeah, so it's quite revealing for that, because all the people who told you that they don't transition children, and yet the ban that FINA's just put in place, and that I think the International Athletics Committee is considering as well, is, well, no, you can stay if you start transitioning before, I think it's 12 actually, but basically you've got people saying that they don't transition children, but then the rule comes in and says, yeah, if you transition as a child, then you're allowed, which you can't hold both of those thoughts in your head at the same time. But it also, and I think Matt Walsh suggested this might lead to some actual more pressure on people to transition earlier, which is probably not what we want to see.
That's not good, is it?
It probably should have been a blanket ban or otherwise. Then again, I don't necessarily think that sporting bodies need to be taking over positions like that. I mean, sporting bodies' sole consideration should be ensuring fairness within sport. If it is the case that trans people who transition before the age of 12 have no biological advantage over biological women, fine. There's not really a reason to stop them competing, because I don't think it's for FINA to lead the charge against transitioning children. That should come at the political level. So yeah, it's not a very convenient law, but it's probably the most that an athletics body can do.
Well, I'll probably get into trouble for this. Whatever your XY chromosome is, that's what you're allowed to compete in only.
That would be easier. Yes,
and that's it.
I agree.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't outdo the science. XY, that's it.
Oh, but then they'll say, "Oh, but what about people with slightly different chromosomes?" Like, no.
Yeah,
it doesn't disprove the existence of the binary.
Those are far and few between anyway. So,
yeah, no, I think I agree. I mean, that is the easy thing. It doesn't preclude transgender people living their lives. I mean,
yeah,
this idea that you should just get rights with no concomitant responsibilities is a relatively new one. I mean, gay people, one of the side effects or one of the conditions on which, for example, homosexuality was legalized was certainly during the 80s as well, was that gay people are not allowed to give blood. That was as a part of the response to the AIDS epidemic. But that's sort of an acceptable trade-off. You've just earned the right to live as a normal private human being. and you're not taking anyone away from doing that, it's acceptable then to say you're not allowed to do X particular thing because it impacts other people, it has an externality. The same thing happens to trans people. There's no reason. The number of trans people who are actually realistically going to go competing for the top sports titles is tiny. It's not a huge hardship to say, okay, we've won these rights. This is good enough for us. We accept that maybe we shouldn't push further because it will actually impact the rights of other people. That seems to be a sensible compromise position, which gay people once upon a time made, and most trans people would be happy now to make, but activists are not happy with. So those are the people we listen to, apparently.
I don't know if this is true. I assume it is, if Time Prophet is saying it is. A child had his... Shall I just say, a kid had his bollocks cut off by the NHS, and now he's suing them because they did it as a child.
I think that would have been the Tavistock clinic or the Gids clinic.
No,
and we're still obviously working through all of this. I think that's slightly harder to do now because the Supreme Court, I think, compelled for the first time ever doctors to actually consider the mental state of the child. It doesn't preclude it, but it makes it slightly more difficult to happen. But no, you have this phenomenon of detransitioners, which is only going to become more and more prevalent.
That's going to be the next big thing, yes.
Yeah, and can I just say, as a father with children that are toddlers, children are not smart. They're not smart. I know people want to be like, they're smarter than you think. No, they are not. They barely know where their nose is. I can tell you right now, they do. It's ridiculous. So anybody that tells me a 3-year-old knows, I'm like, no, they don't. They don't. It's just ridiculous.
I just think this is manipulation of children, and it's not good. It's wrong on every level.
As a parent, I'm constantly like, everybody that I talk to that says the opposite of what I think, I'm like, yeah, but you don't have children, so you don't know what you're talking about. You're just going off of like these Twitter platitudes, and I'm all like, that's not knowledge.
I'm just let children be children, please.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, so we'll move on. JK's been having a go at JK again. This popped up yesterday. Did anybody see this?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Matt, what do you think? This is Emma Watson saying she would be willing to return to Harry Potter as long as the author and creator and the person who was the brains behind it isn't involved.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on this. Harry Potter is my number one jam, and Emma Watson. Okay, so a lot of people are giving her crap that she didn't speak out against Ezra Miller this past month or whatever, because she was in one movie with him, and I just go, it's ridiculous. I mean, listen, J.K. Rowling, she has been in my country left leaning for ever, and she skews one way and not even like hardcore in another direction over one topic, and now she's the devil, and she's like the worst writer, and she's all these things, and I'm all like, well, I'm like, you guys, do you guys, anybody else pay attention to the rest of her politics? Because she hasn't changed, and y'all loved her before. It's just this one thing that she's changed her, that she's opposite of what the think speak is.
Well, she's the same school as us. It's the XY chromosome way of thinking.
Yeah, like, so Emma Watson,
the science way.
Yeah, I think the other two said the same thing, that they would return if J.K. Rowling wasn't involved. But I mean, as a fan, I have to say I'm not interested in anything that isn't got J.K. Rowling involved in it. So when it comes to Harry Potter, so I mean.
You're massively into that then?
Oh my God, yeah. You can't see it right now. My office is decorated in nothing but Harry Potter stuff. It's ridiculous.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I grew up with all this crap, so.
Not my thing.
Yeah. Hey, it's cool. It's cool. But yeah, no. And plus, they're I don't know. Actors are weird anyway. So.
Do you think it's a little bit from Emma Watson? It's a little bit. Well, it's not. It's not good, is it? Kind of biting the hand that made her.
No, and this is my question about actors
two-faced.
too. Yeah, this is my thing about actors too. Like you're making all this. She made all her money from and her name from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And now one little thing that you don't agree with is this going to involve every single movie you do with every single actor or actress, writer, all that stuff that's involved in a movie that you do. And I say ride that money train to the bank, sweetheart. Make those dollar bills. You know, I'm like yeah, we all can't be Lord Chord making our millions from our 10,000 subscribers, but I say ride the money train to the bank. And she's just dumb.
Is Emma Watson, in her own words, still self-partnering?
No, I think so, which is so weird.
Oh, it's a sterling advert for the success of her mindset. Her ideology is that she's in her 30s now, childless, without anyone that she can call like a close loved one or anything like that. And she has the gall then to turn around to J.K. Rowling, who has made essentially an entire generation's worth of childhoods, and tell her that she's culturally irrelevant and verboten. It's Emma Watson is a sad story, but most of the people from Harry Potter who come out and said these things are sad stories as well. What have their careers actually done successfully that has not involved J.K. Rowling? I mean, bearing in mind, J.K. Rowling, when originally the films were being pitched to Warner, and Warner wanted to turn them, I think, into sort of vaguely Hollywood-esque kind of usual, get some big name American actors in. J.K. Rowling turned around and said, no, I want this to be essentially the most British of all British productions. There will not be, it's not going to be Americanized. It's just, Emma Watson would not have a career were it not for J.K. Rowling. She hasn't had a career after J.K. Rowling. And the same thing is true with Daniel Radcliffe and Rupert Grint. Yeah. The only person who's come out of this at all well is Jason Isaacs, Lucius Malfoy, who said he would never say, I think he said in an interview, he would never say a bad word against J.K. Rowling, because she gave him an important moment in his career when he was really struggling with drugs and all the rest of that, and he was very thankful to her. He didn't think that her politics should impact on the cultural value that she's added to an entire generation, and good on him for saying that. I just wish more actors would say the same thing. There's a Washington Post columnist, Jennifer Rubin, I think it is, who after the abortion announcement in America basically comes out and says, if you're an actor and you work for a studio, refuse to work for a studio that doesn't support current thing. But you have none of you people. You don't have a problem. Emma Watson doesn't have a problem. Daniel Radcliffe doesn't have a problem working with studios that film next to concentration camps and cast actors who kidnap children and store them on farms or else traffic them for sex. That's all fine.
If I may,
yeah,
you cannot say it's camps that you concentrate in. That's the YouTube term.
I think the Chinese call them re-education centers. But it's basically Hogwarts.
Lord, are you a fan of what you call it, Harry Potter?
that thing. No, I grew up with him. I'm not as big a fan as I probably was growing up, I don't think. But my generation thinks in Harry Potter words, which is kind of one of the ironies that recoils on J.K. Rowling, because the entire generation that was most critical of her is the kind that passes all moral debates in the question of Gryffindor against Slytherin. So she's sort of responsible for the mindset, given the moral values that sort of Harry Potter perpetrates, relatively simple good versus evil stuff. I think I can appreciate massively the immense cultural impact they had, and I grew up with these things, so I have have a fond place in my memory. I'm not a massive fan, I don't think, anymore, but you can't take away J.K. Rowling's achievement, no matter what people like Emma Watson tried to say.
Time Prophet in the chat. Is Lord Chord only 20? No, he's 17. He's 17. My ex-girlfriend, when I was living in Leeds, was massively into Harry Potter. I think she even read the adult versions of the books.
The adult versions of the books.
Yeah, there were those. Yeah, I think there were different versions. It's a little bit more kind of grown up.
Oh, gotcha.
I remember. I knew I wouldn't like it because it's just not my thing. Wizards and sorcery and all. I just knew I wouldn't like it. She got me to sit through the first film. I watched half of it, and that was it. No more.
Some of them are a little bit painful to go back to because then again, I tried it. I think around I tried it around Christmas, and I remember the acting in the first 3 being a bit dodgy, so I'll just skip forward to number 4. No, the acting is dodgy all the way through. They don't actually get better as actors as they grow up, but then again, you can I can forgive that just because literally the magic
Not
of the
my
production.
thing.
But
Not my thing. But
I can't wait to start reading Harry Potter to my kids. I'm gonna do the voices and everything.
see, that, I can imagine that's going to be a really lovely experience. I mean, I grew up listening to Stephen Fry read them.
Right on,
and to give kids that enjoyment again that you remember having as a kid yourself is a lovely thing. And that's one of the reasons, again, I have criticisms of like the writing quality or the way the films are operating, but you can't detract from the immense power this has over a kid's imagination. And that I can see is going to be a really lovely. I envy you for doing that.
This was just the Star Wars for this generation, wasn't it?
I would say
Yeah,
along those lines.
yeah. Okay, so let's move on. So anniversary today. Can you see that, guys?
Is it really?
25 years ago today, I saw Harry Potter and in the bookstore in Edinburgh. I think this was the first. Yeah, this 25 years ago today. This was in the first edition Edinburgh bookstore. So effectively, it's 25 years ago Harry Potter was born, and that's from J.K. Rowling. So can you believe it? A quarter of a century.
I think that's the version of the book I have as well, somewhere around.
First edition.
I wouldn't sure it's the first edition. It's the same cover art.
I know the first edition went for some stupid money, didn't it?
Yeah. That's a waste of money.
Yeah, so it's 25 years ago. So Emma Watson would have been how old? 7?
I do not know. I have no idea. I don't even know how old she is now.
Now, 25 years later, she's just slagging off the person who just gave her everything.
Yeah, she must have enough money not to worry about that stuff.
Never mind. Anyway, so as I said, I'm not into Harry Potter. Lord, you're not really, are you?
Sort of, only in the sense that I have very, very fond memories of it. I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to the new Fantastic Beasts.
It's not your bag, though, is it?
I probably remember a scary amount about it. So if they ever go back to it, I'm ready-made for my channel. But no, I'm not like I don't go back and rewatch the films very often. I don't reread the books very often. I just remember really enjoying them as a kid.
I think I've been in Waterstones, Princess Street in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's fantastic, everybody. Everybody should visit Edinburgh. So, Matty, 25 years ago, where it started.
Yeah, I wasn't reading Harry Potter when the first book came out. I didn't start reading Harry Potter until I think the 4th book. Yeah, the 4th book came out. Just because I didn't know about it, but as soon as I started reading it, I was hooked. I was hooked. It was my jam.
I'd love to get J.K. Rowling on one of these streams one time.
Yeah. Well, did you just see that she just got pranked? They got some Zoom call of these like Russian pranksters, and they like pranked her and everything. And she was like, the video I believe is still up online, but like they were just like having a go with her. It was funny, and I felt bad for her at the same time, even though I laughed a couple of times. Because she was trying to, like, they were talking about Ukraine and stuff, and I was all like, and she was trying to be so
serious.
Yeah, like serious, but like they were asked, I don't know. I laughed a couple of times, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, this is so sad because they're because she's gonna get so much shit now on top of everything else.
Romeo, sorry, but Harry Potter first book is highly derivative. Tolkien and Roald Dahl should get royalties. Book 3 is the best. She actually does time travel well. Brackets, not easy. Books 4 to 7, way too long.
I think that's definitely true of 7. And in 7, you get the point where she's weaved this incredibly. But so much of what happens in 7 is contingent on so much of what happens previously. It's almost impossible to keep track of, to the point where you actually have Hermione doing overt on-your-nose exposition at one point, just explaining the plot, because it's almost impossible to keep track of everything by that point. And as a writer, and for technical faults like that, J.K. Rowling has never been... She's not the finest prose stylist. She's not the best writer in that sense. But I think one of the reasons she is so successful is precisely that it's derivative in a sense. I mean, most great works derive from something. I mean, Tolkien took an awful lot. I mean, in some places and in some parts of his mythology, directly from the old myths of Iceland and Norway and the Norse myths generally. Most great art is derivative in some way because it identifies the things that have been timeless and have worked timelessly. What makes Homer's Odyssey great is exactly the same thing as would make another product today, which plays on the same themes, great, providing you don't completely butcher it. So, yeah, I mean, the first book is derivative, but I think that's why it captures people's imagination. And you can actually go back. George Orwell once wrote an essay on the place in English fiction and literature of the public school, and the fact that so many old kids' books which were read by everyone were set in these incredibly exclusive public and private schools that no one in their, most normal people would never even set foot in. But they capture something about the English imagination, and they really bring out a pivotal part of the culture, which people around the world have sort of grown up with now as well through Harry Potter. So the fact it's derivative, I don't think is necessarily a mark against it. I think that's probably the reason why it works. And he's right, it gets better by book 3, because then you get derivation mixed with innovation and it becomes something a bit more of its own right. But I wouldn't hold it against her that she's nicked a little bit from Tolkien.
It's did they say imitation is biggest form of flattery?
It is, the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah. Okay. So she's not looked back since, really, has she? 25 years ago. So I think we shall end it there. Free eye test at the end of the stream. I will thank the chat. Cheers, guys. I know the drinker was doing his Bad Boys 3 directors thing tonight. So
Well, they were talking about Miss Marvel. I tuned in briefly.
Yeah.
I think he was having a bit of trouble, fine line to strike, having been quite critical of it, and his fans really not liking it, and then having
they were like, I know. That was quite amusing. So, chat, you are wonderful. It's always the same faces, guys. You're spot on. Thank you for turning up. I will thank the guests, the wonderful Lord Chord. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you as ever.
And last but by no means least, the wonderful Matt Cat 83.
Thank you for having me. I had a good time.
I think that's it. We are gonna try and do our very, 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 very. So I am for Bladerunner at some point this week. So we've got a stream. It's good to go. We will try and sort that out some point this week. It's 22:12 on a Sunday night, so we've managed to get out before Monday. So that's it, folks. Stay safe. Have a good week. We will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.